Would I be the asshole for moving away from my elderly parents? I am 24 and I am trying to buy my first home. I have lived in Illinois my entire life and witnessed cost of living increase. The price of rent exceeds most mortgages here. I have been renting for 3 years, and although my rent in my specific complex has not increased by more than $50 over the course of 3 years, I am tired of paying rent and want to build equity and also use this home as my forever home. I am big into personal finance and saving money. I want to retire early. I want to move to a lower cost of living state such as Texas, Indiana, Tennessee, or Ohio. A 2-bedroom home, townhome around 900 square feet in a decent neighborhood here is at the lowest around $200K. The same parameters in Indiana would be almost $100K less. The only reason I still live in Illinois is because of my parents. They are in their early 70s and I help care for them. They are able-bodied and independent still, but my mother is beginning to show cognitive decline. My father and I have been trying to talk her into moving, but she refuses since it is her dream home. My parents are still paying a mortgagee on their dream home, rather than being content with a smaller and cheaper home. Their interest rate itself is 6%, which is absurd. I do not want a mortgage after the age of 30, which is why I am trying to find a cheaper home. I have saved enough to put a 50% down payment on a home, without dipping into retirement accounts, and my price limit is $120K, which is nearly impossible to find in Illinois. I could easily relocate with my job since it is a multinational company, but I can't leave my parents. I told my parents that I want to move and asked them if they wanted to move to the same state, even a state of their choice. And my dad said he is too old to be moving around this late in life and he is settled, and my mom said that she does not want to leave her dream home, no matter how much it is costing them. I am not happy here with the call or childhood trauma. I told my mother I may still move and she said, "You need to stay here, with family. We are up in age and if something happened you need to be here. You can't live that far away from family. We need to stay close together." My mother has not worked in over 24 years, so she is very out of touch about finances and how much things cost since my dad mostly pays all their bills. He has a higher social security since my mom did not work much. I told my mother that I can drive, fly to visit them, and she said that is not a good idea and that I need to still be close to family. She also said that I would be a bad daughter if I move away when they needed me the most in their life since they are older. Assisted living is not an option for them since my mother refuses to accept aging and the need to live in a retirement community. If I did buy a 2-3 bedroom home for a decent price in another state, then they could move in with me and I would pay the mortgage and they just enjoy their retirement, but they do not see the full picture. Not the asshole, live your life. Side note. There's a good reason a lot of those places you listed have lower cost of living. Jobs suck. Trust someone who's lived in most of those states. They are terrible. Where you tend to find jobs, you tend to find higher cost of living within a reasonable commute. Hopefully you are a full-time remote work type and moving to one of those locations is fine. The other thing to consider with lower cost of living areas is access to internet, especially important if you are the full-time work from home type. I maintain 3 internet connections because they are all unreliable and/or slow. Not the asshole. You are not the caretaker for your parents. You are not born to nurse them until they are dead. If they need help at some point you can pay someone to nurse them, or they have to accept that they have to go to a retirement home. Is that right to say? Or move in with you? If you want to go, then go. Your mom's fear of being nursed by someone else then you shouldn't stop you to live your own life. Not the asshole. If housing is as you say, they could easily sell their house, move with you, and get a better dream house while improving their financial situation. If they choose not to, they can't force you to not improve your own life. Not the asshole, but you have to choose what you are going to prioritize. The summary of your decision in a sentence is, personal needs versus family wants. You said it yourself. Your parents don't need you available right now. Your mom is throwing "what if" scenarios at you to make you stay and to make you feel guilty about doing what is best for you. Not the asshole, you can't put your life on hold. If they are going to be stubborn, that is the choice for them to make. They could live for another 20+ years. You have to live your life. You need to live your life. Don't put things off that you want to achieve. They can make their own choices and so can you. Your mom does not get to tell you that you can't move while at the same time being unwilling to move. Why are her wants more important than yours? Not the asshole, live you life. Children aren't a retirement plan. Not the asshole, you don't have to put your life on hold to take care of them. You also don't need to take on additional debt because they want to stay where they are. You will likely regret not going. There is lots of technology now that makes it easier than ever to stay connected while across country. Am I the asshole for refusing to sacrifice for my youngest brother because I don't believe my parents? I'm the oldest of 4. We are 16 female, 13 male, 12 female and 9 male. My parents are pretty irresponsible with money, which has left us short more than once. We'd have missed birthday parties and stuff. They would always say it would be made up for, and with my siblings, that was true. My sister's 8th birthday party was skipped because they ran out of money. She got a really cool gift a couple of months late though, and her 9th birthday party was crazy. Same with 13 male. He'd wanted a games console for Christmas and our parents couldn't afford it, so they promised if he waited a bit he'd get that plus 5 new games for it. It was especially tough on us when 9 male was diagnosed with cancer when he was 5. A lot changed financially except for my parents' responsibility with it. And they have especially done their best to make things up to him in crazy big ways. Or they try to avoid having things not work with him especially. With me, they make the promise to make it up to me but never do. My 7th birthday was never made up for, neither was my 8th or my 10th. They have taken money off me and never paid it back. They have made me cancel plans and then promised they would make up for it and never did. I have asked about it and they always say they will, but they never do. And then my siblings started asking me for stuff our parents couldn't afford, and my parents would beg me to not let them down. Now it has come up again. My youngest brother will be 10 soon and they want to throw him a big birthday party to celebrate making it out of lockdown, but also to mark another year cancer-free. They can't afford it though, and they want to borrow the $400 off me. Now, I do have the money, I have savings that I hide, and I could in theory do it. But that would be me paying for it, not it being borrowed. And so I told them no. I said I didn't believe them and I wasn't paying for more stuff out of my own pocket so everyone else could be happy at my expense. That nobody would do it for me. My parents told me I need to think of my siblings first. That they will pay me back. That they always do their best for us, and now isn't the time to take my issues with them out on my siblings. But my siblings don't give a crap either. One time my brother couldn't get a brand new game on launch day because I wouldn't give him the money, and he called me a bitch who does nothing for them ever. My parents always took credit for the stuff I paid for. They have always said they made it work, and my siblings do not believe the stuff I have missed out on. So for me it's like, why would I sacrifice when I'm apparently shit who does nothing for anybody and lies all the time? And yet I know this is on my parents. They have taken so much money off me over the last 3 years, and even before, birthday money from friends, they took. It's probably close to $5,000 they have taken from me over the last 8 or so years. It's not just groceries either, but gifts and parties for my siblings and treats for them. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole at all. Frankly, I would say start planning for your future now, and get out from under your parents as soon as you are legally able. It is not your responsibility to provide for your siblings, financially or otherwise. Not the asshole. It isn't your job to pay for your siblings. Furthermore, why does it cost $400 to throw a birthday party? All they need is a cake, which costs at most $10 to make. In any event, you shouldn't feel bad about not enabling your parents' irresponsible behavior. Not the asshole. Hide your savings carefully. You do not have any friends in that house. Put your savings in the bank and keep the details secure if you can. You need to put yourself first. Sit your parents down and lay down the rule. You don't owe them anything. Not the asshole. You parents' priorities seem to be completely off. My suggestion: save, get a good job and get out. Wow. The treatment of parents is bad enough, but the attitude of the siblings is like WTF? Treating you like a donor who owes to give them money and stuff? This is hostile and toxic. Save for an escape plan. And make sure your money is safe and not all eggs in one basket. Because based on the story, I don't believe that them finding it would not just take it. Not the asshole. Cancer is not a reason to throw a $400 from money they don't have. They can sell the PS4. Not the asshole, but don't try and convince your siblings that your parents are bad, they will work it out eventually. Make sure you hide your money well from your parents, but be prepared for the fallout. Is there any other relatives you can trust, can have a word with your parents on your behalf? You need support and someone to explain to them that making one sacrifice and pay for their failings only causes bad feelings and resentment that can lead to no contact as the years go by. Not the asshole. It's time you take care of you. Clearly nobody else in your family will. Keep your savings secure. Info. You're 16, and in the last 8 years, you've had $5,000 in cash? Where do you get your money from? Am I the asshole in this housemate heating war? Here we go. So, my housemate is generally lovely to be around. Considering we've been locked in a small flat together due to the current global situation, initially strangers, we've been getting on well and have been generally considerate of each other's preferences and feelings. For the first time, we're in an argument, and it's about the heating. She knows she runs cold. She says she argues with colleagues about the office temperature, and whenever she visits someone else's house, when she comes back, she complains that it was cold. I've generally just sucked it up and had the heating on quite high, 25 degrees Celsius plus, and had my windows open. As it's no longer winter, it's harder regulating the temperature in my room using outside air, so I usually keep it at 23 degrees instead. TBH, this is still quite warm for me, and getting ready to leave the house, I usually start sweating. Understanding she runs cold, and trying to be considerate, I bought a mini aircon to help me with this. The weather has finally warmed up a fair bit. We're almost in July, so while the heating is on 24 hours, for her benefit, the thermostat is almost never above 20 degrees to trigger it turning on. We had some colder days last week, so even though I was okay temp-wise, I popped the heating on at 23 degrees. I had a cosmetic procedure done this week that means I'm not allowed to get my face wet for 5 days, including sweat. I told her this, and today she turned the heating up to 26 degrees. I could feel myself starting to sweat, so turned it down to 23 degrees and explained why. The procedure cost £400 and I'd have to get it done again if I ruin it. I explained this to her, but she's angry, saying the least I could do was let her room get warmer. It's 21 degrees Celsius outside and the heating was still on, just not as high. I explained my situation again and noted that in the same way I found my air cooler useful, she might find a mini heater useful, and she refuses. I'm waiting for her to get home so we can talk about it, but am I being the asshole here? Worth saying that if it were up to her, she'd have the heating on like 30 degrees, so she is compromising. Edit. Another note in her defense that I'm a lighter sleeper than most, whereas she's nocturnal, and she's made a concerted effort to try not to wake me at night, so I feel like I should make an effort with her body temp. Edit 2. Should add that the heating bill is included in our rent, so while I'm sure it's gone up steeply since she moved in, neither of us is paying for it, fortunately. That definitely helps. Edit 3. Hopefully the last note. She said before she moved in that she doesn't like having to layer up at home, but she at least wears socks most of the time. She's just said that actually she's been trying to wear warmer clothes. I haven't seen even the hint of a long sleeve, so I'm not sure how hard she's tried rolling on the floor laughing, but that's something. I'm going to try agreeing a temperature to stick to and strongly considering gifting her some items to help keep her warmer. Not the asshole. At least during the week your skin is healing. She could put on a warmer sweater and extra socks, and she's TA if she doesn't. That's what I do in winter. Then my husband sits on the couch in a t-shirt and short pants, barefoot. I sit beside him with 2 pairs of socks, warm sweats and a blanket, lol. Not the asshole. If she's running that cold, she should probably see a doctor. 26°C is ridiculous heating level, it's the temp many turn the cooling on at. I would hate that. Even in the winter my thermostat is set to 20 degrees Celsius. However, I'm in Scotland where the weather is never very hot and never very cold. Why is her comfort more important than yours? Does she pay a larger share of the heating bill? Not the asshole. It is much easier for a person to warm up without the heat on just by putting on extra layers than it is to cool down with the heat on. There is only so many clothes you can take off. Why does her comfort come before your comfort, let alone your temporary medical need to not sweat? Is she paying out of her own pocket to have the heat on all the time, or are you sharing the expense of her comfort? Not the asshole. Why is her comfort more important than yours? Who has the heat on in the summer? Unless we're talking about the Eastern Hemisphere. Tell her she's being inconsiderate and to put on a sweater. Not the asshole. When she's cold, does she put on a sweater, snuggle under a blanket? Or does she want it to be warm enough she can wear a t-shirt? Maybe you can point out to her that when you're too hot there's only so much you can take off, but when she's cold she can add another layer. Not the asshole. Her getting a mini heater for her room seems like a fine compromise. There's also these things called sweaters, etc. Not the asshole. She can always bundle up, you have no personally feasible method of cooling down. You're already going above and beyond to accommodate her, why can't she just throw a sweater on for a couple days? Am I the asshole for getting mad at my girlfriend for destroying my farm? I apologize beforehand. English is not my first language and is my first time posting. Backstory. I, 22M, and my girlfriend, 24F, have been together for 6 years. We both like video games, but I play more than her for the following reasons. 1. She gets nauseous while playing games that have a lot of camera movement. 2. She doesn't have a lot of time, she works about 60 hours a week. 3. She doesn't purchase games, she has to help her family with bills. We've been wanting to play together for a long time, so I tried helping her. I gave her my Xbox a few years ago, and last year I bought her a laptop and shared my Steam account with her. But again, she hasn't been able to play because of the reasons mentioned earlier. Story. I bought a game called Stardew Valley for myself a couple years ago, but didn't make time to play it until I realized it had multiplayer in it. So I thought it was the perfect game for us, and it is. I told her about it and she didn't think it was good because it didn't look as pretty as Animal Crossing, but as soon as we started playing we fell in love with it. We play maybe once or twice every week for about 1 or 2 hours. I really liked the game and wanted to play longer, so a couple weeks ago I told her that I was going to create a new save file so I could play by myself, and she said, "Sure, no problem. I'll do the same when I have time." So I did just that. I played on my save file when I was alone and played with her on our shared save file WHE. She was available. The issue began this week. She came to my house as I was playing and she saw that I was advancing really fast and I had a lot of things already. She got angry and I told her that it had nothing to do with our farm and that I still enjoyed playing with her, and I thought that was it. Yesterday she was in my room and I went to the kitchen to make dinner, but when I came back to the room I saw that she literally destroyed my farm. My crops were gone, my animals were gone, my buildings were destroyed, and I had no money, so a lot of hours getting those things wasted. She had already saved, so I couldn't fix it. Of course it is not the end of the world, but I was really pissed, so I yelled at her. She screamed back saying that I was supposed to play with her and that I left her behind. I told her that it was not a competition and that I was just enjoying the game. I wanted to play with her and play separately on my own farm. That is why I created 2 farms. I just gave her dinner and told her to not speak to me, and we went to sleep like that. Today she apologized and told me that she wants to play, but I told her that I don't want to play with her anymore. Heck, I don't even want to play Stardew Valley anymore. Am I the asshole for getting mad and refusing to play with her anymore? I can understand her frustration because she doesn't have a lot of free time, but on the other hand, she destroyed something of mine just to hurt me. Not the asshole. She destroyed something of mine just to hurt me. This sums it up perfectly. She was fine with you starting your own farm, but when she realized how much further ahead you were, she got upset, which is fine. What is not fine is reacting the way she did. She wanted to hurt you, and that isn't how mature adults deal with their frustrations. Not the asshole. I might be the asshole because I played without her. Except that you told her you were going to do that, and she said fine. She only got upset because. Honestly, I'm not sure why she got upset. It's not like the joint save file wouldn't have caught up to yours if she'd kept playing it. Or if she wanted to see how the new stuff worked, she could have asked to play with the new save file, or if you could make a copy for her. But no, she just went straight to, if I can't have it immediately, you can't have it at all. If this is how she behaves when she's jealous of you over a virtual farm, that doesn't bode well for her ability to handle real-life conflict with actual stakes. Not the asshole. Wow. Why are you dating a child? Is this normal behavior from her? Not the asshole. Stay away from people whose first reaction to being jealous of you or frustrated is to hurt you. Someone mentioned she might be overwhelmed with stress and that's why she did this, but if anything that just sets off worse alarm bells. There's going to be a lot of tough times in her life because that's life. Do you want to spend those times having to hide your stuff so she doesn't break them and praying she doesn't turn you into her punching bag? I've messaged you how to roll back a save. I hope it gets to you in time. Not the asshole, but your girlfriend is a major a-hole. You sound like you have put in a lot of effort into making it possible for you and your girlfriend to play together. Instead of being grateful, she is being so petty and hateful. She also showed you that you can't trust her with your personal belongings. If playing video games is something that triggers her so much, you guys should just play by yourselves. She needs to figure out her own problems. Not the asshole. She was being petty, childish, and selfish. I love Stardew myself, and I know how much work it takes to build up a really nice farm. Destroying that just to hurt you is awful. Not the girlfriend you want. On a side note, if you like Stardew Valley, you might also like my time at Porsche. where you play a builder in a lovely Ghibli-esque post-apocalyptic town with some delightful characters. I've been hyperfixating on both games. Not the asshole. She destroyed hard work because she was mad she wasn't there when it happened. That's incredibly controlling and worrisome that she gets so angry that she destroys things if she wasn't doing the thing with you. Will you one day find your computer destroyed because you went to a party without her? I know Stardew. Love it myself. You have every right to be mad at her.